I hated running with a passion, so I decided to run a marathon. So fitness has always been a really big part of my life, and it's been clear to me in hindsight now that that definition of fitness changed again and again and again over time. Some of my earliest memories with fitness was following along to a LimeWired version of P90X and following football drills in middle school. Back then, working out was trying to be cool, trying to impress girls, and trying to look like Gohan. I started getting more into lifting for myself in high school, but I've had my moments of being up and down with consistency since college. Throughout all that time though, being fit was just about how strong I was with the big 3 lifts and trying to put on a little bit of mass. Fast forward to last year, I was the strongest I've ever been, but looking back, I was pretty out of shape when it came to being healthy. I came to this realization when I was jogging in preparation to attend officer training school through the Air Force, and in my head I was like, I'm obviously fit, I can squat over 400 pounds, this is nothing. The sad thing was I couldn't get farther than about half a mile before I had to take a break and walk. In training, I actually had to attempt the physical assessment twice because the first time I failed because I wasn't able to do enough sit-ups in time. That was insanely embarrassing. I was just thinking, dude, my powerlifting total is over 1,100 pounds and I can't even do enough sit-ups to pass the first time around. This should have been so easy for me, but it wasn't. My definition of fitness transformed once again. I wanted to be someone who was confident in not only their strength or aesthetics, but their ability to perform, to be functional and capable. I set a goal for myself for this year, 2023, to accomplish a half marathon. And I got a little bit into my training and I realized that I was selling myself a little bit short, so I decided, let's do a marathon, and that's how I came to this goal. Now, I told you guys that I hate running, and I spent the last few months training for this marathon while balancing out medical school, while balancing out lifting weights, balancing out just living life, going to music festivals, and moving into a new apartment, just a lot of things. But I have to say, by the end of my training marathon, I think my views on racing and running in general are pretty much the same. And I mean, I don't hate it. I don't think I ever really hated it, but I don't think I really just enjoyed it that much. But I can definitely tolerate it a lot better now. In the week leading up to the marathon where I was supposed to carb up, I was so excited for that. I was gonna have so much potatoes, so much pasta, so much spaghetti, just the good stuff, right? But that got old super quickly. So it's 8 p.m. before my marathon day. I'm about to go to bed in like an hour-ish. But before that, last meal of the day, another bagel. It's my third bagel today, and another half bag of hash browns. This caps me at about 515-ish grams of carbs for the day. And I'm not hungry at all, and this is a hugest plate of carbs. So I'm gonna try my best to eat it, but it's been rough. The last week of just eating nothing with carbs and then kind of loading up has been a very different process. I've never really done that before. Take into account also I'm taking electrolytes every single day and just trying to be as hydrated as possible. I just feel super bloated, super big, but it's not weighing me down. I just am not used to carrying this much water and this much glycogen, so it does feel good, but it's just weird. Now I'm gonna eat, finish off my night, and hopefully this gives me the energy I need to finish tomorrow. Dude, I'm so full. Ugh. 5 in the morning right now, like 5:12 in the morning. We're leaving around 5:30, 5:35 is the goal. Right now I'm just having a little bit of breakfast. I'm gonna eat a bagel, nothing too heavy today, just a bagel. I have my gels as well to keep me satiated, so not too worried there. What I'm worried is I'm gonna finish this coffee and hopefully that's gonna stimulate some movement and I can squeeze one out before we go, because I'm not trying to squeeze one out while we're there. And yeah, feeling pretty good for 5 in the morning. I'm used to waking up this time. I kind of weaned myself to wake up a little bit earlier this week. That way when the race day came, I wasn't waking up at 5 in the morning for the first time. Usually I wake up around 6 a.m. so it's not that bad anyways. So we're gonna get ready and we're gonna go and get it. So we just got here, it's like 6:44, so I'm like 30 minutes before my start time. Feeling a little nervous. The whole drive here I was feeling super nervous. It felt almost like, the only thing I compare it to is like when I was playing football and it was like before the game, or when I was b-boying, it was before going to a gym or a battle, or you know, dance competitions in college right before going to that competition. The only difference is that it's a little different for me. I'm not competing with anyone, I'm just competing with myself. I am too slow to race anybody here. So I'm just competing against myself and trying to get those 26.2 miles in. So that's a different feeling, but overall, feel very excited. I miss the feeling of being anxious and excited at the same time to compete. So It's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to it. Now we're gonna get ready and go. Just getting ready for the marathon right now, and the dude that parked next to me just told me he's juggling while running the marathon. Like a full marathon while juggling. That's insane.
The guy who holds the world record did it in 2 hours and 50 minutes.
There's a record?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I won't be anywhere
Website.
close to
Yeah.
to that.
So are you doing the full marathon?
Yeah.
Juggling?
Yeah.
That's so cool. Imagine juggling, standing still. Imagine running a marathon and then doing both at the same time. That's fucking crazy. So the marathon went mostly smoothly, kind of smoothly. My biggest issue is just using the restroom. I had to use the restroom every single lap, which is about a quarter of the race. So every single time I finished that lap, I'd just go run the restroom real quick. So that was one thing that I was kind of stressed out about, just wondering how I'd even do that. So glad that part worked out. And it wasn't really until the last lap where things started to go bad. I finished 3/4 of the marathon at this point, and I was zooming, right? I was going at a really good pace, and I thought I was gonna actually demolish the time goal that I set for myself. But when I started that last lap, 5 miles left, and my legs won't stop cramping. Left quad, right calf, right groin, left groin. It pops out everywhere. I think the time of 5 hours is out the window, but we just got finished. Literally every 30 seconds I would cramp up. Either it's my calf, my quad, the other calf, the other quad, my groin even. Everything was just cramping up and I couldn't stop it. I took my electrolytes. I drank a lot of water. I took Gatorades wherever I could, but for some reason, I just couldn't stop cramping. So I actually had to walk the majority of that last lap, and it really sucked. My goal was to run a sub 5 marathon, just under 5 hours, and I finished 3/4 of it in just 3 hours and 30 minutes. So I had a whole hour and a half to finish the last 6.5 miles. I would have, I think, easily destroyed that 5-hour goal. Not destroyed, but like, I would have beaten it by a pretty good margin. But because of all the cramping and I literally just couldn't even jog or run, I had to go really slow on my last lap, and I ended up with like a 5.5 marathon. I took 2 hours on the last lap alone. Overall though, I mean, my New Year's goal was to just run a half marathon. I just ran a marathon, so I'm not gonna beat myself over it. Timing is one thing that's cool. I don't really, it's whatever. It sucks. I wish I went a little bit faster, but I ran a marathon. I'm proud of myself. So if you look at the title of the video, I said that the marathon, training for it, changed my life, and I want to go ahead and talk a little bit about that. So like I said in the beginning of this year, my goal was to just run a half marathon, and to me at that time, it checked out all the boxes, right? It was really intimidating. I didn't know if I could do a half marathon by the end of the year. I don't really like running, so I thought that was a really good goal, but after some hours and miles on my legs, I realized that I was really selling myself short. I could do a lot more than just half a marathon. And yeah, I could have trained for a faster half marathon, but for me, the distance was the main challenge, not the speed. I could care less about the speed. This reminded me of one of David Goggins' gems that I've heard but forgot about for a while. Basically, when your mind is screaming at you to stop and quit, your body is actually only about 40% of the way done. You still have more in the tank, and you're going to have to beat the weakness in your mind to pull it out of you. Running this marathon made me wonder, what are some of the other things that I gave myself too little credit for and settled for a different goal? Even if the alternative goal was still tough or respectable, how many times did I settle? And on top of that, just setting a goal out, right? And putting in the work to get to that goal, having a deadline for it, and showing up the day of and just competing. That's a really unbeatable feeling. That's an amazing feeling, an amazing sense of accomplishment, especially with physical goals, right? Whether it was a marathon for me, but if it was a half marathon, a 10K or a 5K even, you don't really get that often anymore, right? Those physical challenges, you don't get the opportunity to really go after it the way you did when you were in high school and you had those sports, college, when you had intramurals and you had dance competitions, you had whatever, right? Life after college is a little bit different than life during college and during high school. You actually have to go out and find these experiences for yourself and voluntarily put yourself through these things. And that felt amazing to actually have the opportunity to do that. Something that I've been trying to do more often, but is truly embodied in me doing this marathon, is embracing what you hate and doing more of what you hate. The idea of investing your time into things that you don't enjoy is a bit counterintuitive, and you might be wondering, why would I do that? You really have to look at this message a little deeper though and really break it down. It's not just being a masochist and saying, hey, if you don't like sardines, you're gonna eat nothing but sardines for a month, right? The point isn't just to be a masochist for no reason. The thing is, I hated doing cardio and I hated running, but running's good for me, right? Running is good for me, it's good for you, it's good for everybody. I hated running because it was difficult for me. I didn't find any enjoyment out of it, and I just preferred lifting weights, and that was good enough for me. And do I still hate running? No, yes, kind of. It's kind of complicated, right? Do I enjoy putting one foot in front of the other? No. Do I enjoy, stride after stride after stride until I get 26.2 miles? Not really. But the key there is getting to that 26.2 miles, that sense of I'm going to aim for this distance and then accomplishing that distance. I enjoy that challenge. I really, really do love that challenge. This made me reevaluate the things that I don't enjoy doing or eating and really analyze it. It might not be fun for me, but it's probably good for me. Let's eat or do it anyways because I want to be better. Running this marathon pushed me not only in terms of my physical fitness, but in terms of my levels of productivity and mental load too. Putting in miles and miles of running on top of school, working out, and this YouTube channel were definitely super challenging. But I learned that all those other parts of my life became a lot easier when I started running because not only was I getting healthier, but my time was being more scarce. So when it was time to study, I knew that I didn't have a lot of time to study throughout the day anymore, so I really had to focus and study. I was able to beat my procrastination. I had to think about what workouts I was going to do and when more often. I had to come in with a plan of all these things, and even though I thought I was already doing that, preparing for this marathon taught me that I was definitely underestimating how much I could have been doing before. So the question is, would you do this again? Would you run another marathon? Well, right after the race, I said this.
Never doing this shit again.
But I'll admit it, when I woke up, I got on my phone and I was already looking up other marathons that are available in Colorado. And I think this is fueled a little bit just by my frustrations. I felt a little helpless in what happened to me because I couldn't stop cramping, and I didn't really know that running on a dirt trail is very different than running on a paved road. And throughout the entire time I was training for this marathon, I only ran on paved road, and I didn't even realize that the marathon was on a dirt road and trail until I showed up. And I didn't even know that even made a difference. And some of you guys might think this is super obvious, but for me, I just kind of showed up and did the work. I never really realized or thought these things kind of through. And that probably explains why my muscles were so crampy and my joints were in so much pain and my feet were in pain the whole time. I have road running shoes, right? I bought racers for this, and they're actually made for a road that is paved, not dirt. So the whole time I was just unstable, tripping over rocks, like twisting my ankle, but not actually fully twisting and injuring myself, but just, it felt very unstable, but I thought it was just my lack of experience and me being a little clumsy with running. Turns out, maybe part of it was me being clumsy, me being inexperienced, but I think the main thing was I was just ill prepared for the marathon. I didn't realize that those little logistical things mattered, and that ended up biting me in the butt in the long run. So just keeping that in mind, that I feel like I had more in the tank. I feel like if I just prepared a little bit better, did a little bit more research, the marathon would have went a lot smoother. I would have enjoyed the experience a little bit more. Plus the trail was, even though I appreciated the experience of the marathon, it was kind of isolating because there was a lot of the times where I was just running by myself, and the way I imagined running a marathon, people would be cheering you on, you'd be running with pacers in a big group, and you'd be talking to people and stuff. But I didn't really say a word the entire marathon. No one was really talking to each other. Everyone just focused on the trail and not falling. So for me, that wasn't really the marathon experience that I wanted. So I'm going to do some more research and find a marathon that gets me the experience that I really wanted. And I want to prepare for it this time in a way that I can perform the way I wanted to. So I'll give myself a little bit of time to rest and recover, come up with a new plan, and come back at it stronger. Now, if you're on the fence about doing a marathon, doing a 10K, 5K, half marathon, or just putting yourself through a challenge that you're not completely comfortable with, it's something new for you guys, I 100% push you guys. I urge you guys, just go sign up and do it before you back out. Don't overthink it, just go for it. Life's short, especially, when we're young and capable. You want to be able to live a life now where you won't look back when you're older and your body's a little bit more worn down and say, man, I wish I took advantage of my youth, right? You're living in your youth right now, most likely if you're watching this video. So take advantage of that and just live a life with no regrets. So what challenges have you guys already made for yourselves? What have you already accomplished this year? I'd love to hear about it. So go ahead and leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys on the next video.